I was listening to Brené Brown interview the other day, and she talked about how when you're nice to people, you get taken advantage of, not necessarily always because other people want, are deliberately taking advantage, but because if you're the only nice person in their life or something that they need help and they need something, they will always come to you. So you end up with the queue of people knocking on your door, asking you for things, while not so nice people get to have plenty of their own time, free time. And by nice here, I don't mean that anyone is better than anyone else, but I just mean those kind of, as whatever it's conventionally known, oh, he is a nice person, meaning they always make you feel nice, and which is mostly because they say yes to things you ask and etc. In other words, what she was also essentially addressing, and I think I've done it many times here as well in different ways maybe, is that it's almost like it attracts people and it ends up becoming a problem, and it doesn't therefore pay off in the sense that you end up miserable, or just you end up being taken advantage of, and it's unfair, and it just doesn't really add up. It's like you're inviting trouble, you're inviting work for yourself, and it doesn't, it ends up being a burden, etc. And you end up being a doormat or people pleaser, because the moment you say no, you're not a nice person necessarily anymore. This is just a convention, and it's a way of being, I suppose. It's not anything obviously, but just a scenario that I certainly seen play out often in my life or other people's lives that I observed. But what that got me thinking, which is really what I wanted to touch on in this video, is that I was crazy about Osho years ago, decades actually, well, a decade ago, when I discovered him, and I still have his book. I have physical and Kindle version of it. I just love it. It's amazing. It's called Meditation, the Last Freedom, I think it's, yeah, but meditations, and there's some amazing meditations he talks about to practice, to experience, to cultivate, and two that are relevant to this video are meditation on light and meditation on darkness. And it's along those same lines. So if you meditate on light, and his kind of instruction is to think of a flame, think of light, and the rest, it doesn't matter. I'm not giving the instruction here. It's not a tutorial for the meditation, but the point is that you start to embody light and you start to radiate light, right? It's not like this thing you're looking at in the video, the light of the candle. So you radiate it, and even he says, meaning it's just a fact, it's a physical fact, but still, everywhere you, Brené Brown, Osho, when he talks about meditation on light, is that you attract people. People come to you because it's like moth to a flame. And he talks about flame. He doesn't use the metaphor moth to a flame, but that's the metaphor. And it's almost like it's, moth to a flame gets burnt more often than not, and it's like that kind of, bottom line I'm trying to say, that kind of attraction is just deadly. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with death, in itself. It's not immoral, but it's like, it's not whoever, moth-like person, individual, or moth herself isn't necessarily looking forward to that, or isn't necessarily going, oh yeah, that's fine, I'm just gonna go to this flame and yeah, I'll die, no problem. But I don't think so. So my point is, this attraction, it's a trap kind of thing, to end something, to die, and it's like, or to end up, hurting yourself. So now, metaphorically speaking, not doing right by yourself. Back to Brené Brown's example of niceness. By contrast, though, darkness is repellent. And his meditation on darkness talks about staring into actual darkness and this kind, like you're looking at now, pitch blackness, and the rest. I mean, again, I'm not giving the instructions, but the point is that what it does, it's essentially he's describing what we would normally, typically, conventionally call depression. But this is the beautiful difference of how, when you intentionally do this work, whether it's shadow work, whether it's, you know, meditation on darkness, or that it's actually magical and there is something beautiful in it. But it's also repellent. So, for instance, he talks about how you will see people will, I don't think he says everyone will. It's not. I don't think. Maybe even he does. Well, I'm not sure. But I reread it just tonight, but I can't now remember exactly. But there will certainly be some, if not all people, but certainly some that will be repelled by it, because they will fear it. It's like, and apparently when you carry that darkness, and this is not the darkness he's talking about, is not, you know, the darkness of your internal world, you know, all the scary stuff. No, just pure physical, this pitch black kind of darkness. The most nurturing, the most soothing kind of darkness. And the fears we have associated with it are, well, they're real in the sense that what we're experiencing when we are facing this kind of darkness, it's, you know, it's our real experience, and it's maybe all in our heads and all that. Still, it feels real for us. So it's real, as in it's our experience, however internalized it might be. So not dismissing that or playing it down, but yeah, when he talks about that, when he talks about darkness that will still repel people, it's not I'm down with my demons and ghosts and all that, and I'm, you know, cozy with them, I accepted them. No, it's past that. It's like pure content-free darkness. There's no content in it. It's just pitch blackness. And as I was reading, I was just again feeling so like relieved and just like, oh yes, as in there is something so rich about it and so nourishing, and those are the words he uses as well, nourishing about that darkness. And but it's, and he also talks about laziness, how it kind of, you become just slow because it's heavy, and this is in astrological terms Saturn stuff. And it's you know, it's also, like I say, what we would describe depression like. But the distinction is here that contentless, content-free darkness feels like a physical depression, but not mental. And in the sense that your body is heavy and you're not necessarily, like, you just, you know, you're just slow. It's like all that external, you know, light and blazing glories or whatever just doesn't, it's just, yeah, it's not, it doesn't interest you, it doesn't. So it's like that. In that sense, it looks or sounds like a depression, but if you're doing it right, as in the sense of Osho's meditation, then you're just finding beauty and nourishment and magic in it. It makes you a bit odd, maybe. Well, odd as in, you know, most of humans on the planet are all about light and flames and, you know, being fire spirited and all the rest. So you would, in that sense, you would be odd. But yeah, it's not, it doesn't have to be. It's like the next level, the highest level of when you get past the depression, when you get past those demons and ghosts and whatever skeletons in your cupboards. So when you walk through that darkness, then you come out on the other side of the darkness, and it's just like this, pitch black, and it's, yeah, it's great. Okay, good night.